Hello, and welcome to another episode where you'll feel I've stolen time you'll never get back. We pick up in the World Series run after the 2019 season, where we will finally have a chance to seriously overhaul the roster. Believe me, we will. To start off the season, I deal with personnel. As always, not the most interesting way to start an episode. We have some players who are arbitration eligible, but I'm only interested in keeping a few of the players. Aaron Sanchez gets a 3-year, $31 million contract. I figured this was a dice roll because I've had injury problems with him previously, but at that price I can probably trade him if it becomes a problem. Brian Goodwin signs a 2-year, $6.4 million contract. Figure it's a pretty safe deal for a rebuilding team. Richard Bleer, Miguel Castro, and Nate Carnes are all refusing to negotiate, which brings me to the team chemistry. They're actively fighting amongst themselves.
Harry, wake up, Harry. Look.
My God! Good news, fans! The Indians are showing signs of life for the first time in weeks.
And now time for some trades. The Brewers and I come to an understanding. I send Richard Bleer, Hanser Alberto, Austin Wynns, and Paul Fry for Robinson Cano, with them retaining 50% and 2 minor leaguers. I traded for an all-star. I call over to the Reds and I'm like, hey, do you want my scraps? I send Nate Carnes, Miguel Castro, and a minor leaguer for Raisel Iglesias, with them retaining 40%. I know that Miguel Castro is a clubhouse cancer in real life, so if for no other reason than to improve team chemistry, I wanted him gone. The Rockies heard I was giving away scraps and wanted Mike Wright, Joey Rickard, and a minor leaguer for Daniel Murphy the homophobe, with the Rocks retaining 40% and 2 minor leaguers. One thing of note, the players appreciate the leadership of Daniel Murphy. But the Rangers were like, hey, I want some scraps too. So I send Jonathan Luisiga, Austin Slater, and 2 minor leaguers for Scott Heineman and 2 minor leaguers. But of course, their nosy neighbor, the Astros, wanted in on the scrap heap, so I send Merrill Kelly, Keegan Aiken, Raisel Iglesias, and Matt Wivenes from Zach Britton again, with them retaining 35%, 2 minor leaguers, and cash. Zach Britton just can't stay away. Finally, Jesus Sucre, Mason Williams, Mark Trumbo, and Andrew Kashner were all let go. Adios! I add Ryan Mountcastle, Yusniel Diaz, Jonathan Duplantier, Austin Hayes, Corey Ray, Zach Brown, Yordan Alvarez, Andrew Vaughn, Justin Lawrence, John Olczak, and Dom Nunez to the 40-man roster, while also DFAing Pedro Severino and Dean Creamer. We reached the free agency period, and here is some of the available talent we'd love to have but cannot due to budget constraints. I signed Zach Davies to a 2-year, $3 million contract, figuring maybe I could trade him at the deadline. Dylan Betances agrees to a 2-year, $9.5 million deal, which I was quite happy about. The only other signing I make is for Tyler Clippard, who gets a 1-year, $1.3 million contract. I make a trade with the Astros, sending DJ Stewart, Zach Vincege, and a minor leaguer for Raisel Iglesias, with them retaining 10%, and Rogelio Armenteros. I pick up Reed Humphreys in the Rule 5 draft. I've used him in other games and he usually turns out okay. We are told by the owner we have an increase in payroll, but then allocates it to everything but free agents.
Thanks, asshole. Then fuck you.
We reach spring training and lose Rogelio Armenteros for a year, Tyler Clippard for 5 to 6 weeks, and Aaron Sanchez for 5 months. At this point, there's no way we will have a winning record this season, not that I honestly expected to. We reach April, and after the usual demotions, these are the pitching assignments and lineup I have. Not great. As always, we play the opening day game, and this is the lineup I used. Let's see what we have in store. The Orioles managed 4 home runs off of the Twins, including 2 from Tim Anderson, 1 in the bottom of the first, as well as in the 4th. We bested the Twins 11-5, and we actually earned some achievements from this game, including a comeback. Pretty nifty. But then, tragedy strikes, as the owner of the Orioles passes away. His son assumes control of the team, stricken with grief.
I have no positive memories of my father. Seriously, not one. He wasn't so much a dad as he was just this angry creep who would stalk around the house on evenings and weekends.
Josh Reddick is out for 5 weeks. I call up Yordan Alvarez in his place. This is my new lineup. I also send Tyler Clippard on a rehab assignment. We reach May with a somewhat predictable 11-16 record, a .407 win percentage, 4th in the division. I figured there was no way we could win this year, and this pretty much confirms it. These are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. I make a trade with the Pirates, sending Brian Goodwin, Zach Britton, and a minor leaguer for Trevor Williams and a minor leaguer. I also call up Yusniel Diaz. These are my new pitching assignments, with no lefty pitchers at all, as well as my lineup. And Yusniel Diaz is suspended.
Are you guys okay?
That 30 minutes just went by so fast.
Yeah.
Josh Reddick is no longer injured and is sent on a rehab assignment. Alex Cobb, on the other hand, is now out for 3 months. I call up Tyler Clippard in his place. These are my new pitching assignments. Chance Sisco is out 2 to 3 weeks. I call up Brett Cumberland in his place. This is my new lineup. John Duplantier is out for 5 weeks. I call up John Means in his place. These are my new pitching assignments. And now Chris Davis wants a trade. I wish I could trade you, buddy. We enter June with a 23-31 record, a .426 win percentage, last in the division. At this point, I'm pretty fucking bored. Seriously, it's just injuries and terrible stats, like these pitching stats, and the batting stats. I finally DFA Chris Davis because there is just no hope that I can trade him away, and call up Ryan Mountcastle in his place. This is my new lineup. Josh Reddick's rehab time is up, and I send Yusniel Diaz to AAA. This is my new lineup. Draft time, and I have a 3rd overall pick this time. I end up having a $1 million offer refused by one of my picks. Chance Sisco is no longer injured and is sent to AAA. Tim Anderson is out for 5 weeks, and I call up Rylan Bannon in his place. This is my new lineup. To end the month, Ryan Mountcastle is named Rookie of the Month. I had basically been sitting on him until he was fully developed, so I'm not shocked at all. We reached July with a somewhat respectable 39-42 record, a .481 win percentage, 4th in the division. Kinda interesting we nearly have a winning record. These are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. One thing of note, Corey Ray already has 100 strikeouts. Yikes. I send down Cody Carroll and Zach Brown, while calling up Zach Pop and Bruce Zimmerman. These are my new pitching assignments. I send John Duplantier on a rehab assignment. Midseason goals time, and the owner is happy. Probably a bit distracted with his father's untimely demise. I make a trade with the Angels, sending Jonah Arenado and Robinson Cano, retaining 20% for Andrew Heaney and a minor leaguer. Actually really fucking stoked about this trade. To make this trade work, I send down Hunter Harvey and call up Andrew Vaughn and Steve Wilkerson. These are my new pitching assignments, as well as my lineup. Tim Anderson is no longer injured and is sent on a rehab assignment. I make a trade with the Athletics, sending John Means and 3 minor leaguers for Heath Hembry and a minor leaguer. These are my new pitching assignments. John Duplantier and Tim Anderson both need to come back from rehab, so I demote Rizel Iglesias and Rylan Bannon to make room. These are my new pitching assignments, as well as my lineup. We reach August with a 51-55 record, a .481 win percentage, 4th in the division. Still mediocre, but better than expected. These are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. Since we're doing okay and reasonably could push for a playoff spot, I play the game after the trade deadline, and this is the lineup I used. Our lone offense for the game was this home run by Daniel Murphy in the bottom of the 1st. So despite good pitching on our part, we just could not beat the Rays, who take the game 2-1. Still, this team seemed to be playing much better now than they did last year by a considerable margin. Aaron Sanchez is no longer injured and is sent on a rehab assignment. Directly behind him is Alex Cobb, who is also sent to rehab. We reached September with a 57-75 record, a .432 win percentage, last in the division. We managed to win only 6 games during the month of August and are rightfully back in the basement. These are my pitching stats, as well as my batting stats. I call up Aaron Sanchez, Alex Cobb, and anyone else I want. These are my pitching assignments, as well as my lineup. And that's the season. We end with a 71-91 record, a .438 win percentage, 4th in the division. These are my pitching stats to end the season, as well as my batting stats. One thing of note, Corey Ray ended the season with 216 strikeouts. That is amazing. So you think that's it, right? That the players aren't playing and nothing else happens because we just get to go home and everything's all better next year? No, not this time, because now I find out that Rogelio Armenteros is going to be out for another 15 months!
Fuck my life, I hate my life.
And if you're curious who wins the World Series, well, it's New York in 6. Good job, I guess.
I'm happy for you.
Finally, to end the season, Daniel Murphy voids his contract. The owner is generally, Again, his dad just died, so he's probably in therapy or something. And our budget sucks, so that's it. Remember, I never made you watch this. You came here on your own accord. Do not sue me because you think that you're entitled to compensation for your misery and pain.